Hello, brothers and sisters. So, this episode will be a little different than my usual. Won't be reading scripture today. This is kind of a direction in which my channel's taking, which I'll explain later. But we'll start with let's talk about a Christian soldier. So, the churches I've been to and things that I've seen online, sayings and definitions of a Christian soldier and so forth, it's been it's hard to say. I guess the best way to say it's soft. When preachers and priests preach about being a Christian soldier, it's always about setting the example and spiritual warfare, and those are good things. But it's out of touch with the world and does not contain any practicality as how you apply that to your life as a Christian soldier. It's not just all about prayer and setting example and treating people right and loving your enemy and so forth. It's more than that. As a Templar, it's who we are. We are the soldiers of Christ. We are a militant organization. So we not only train and fight the spiritual war, but there are physical wars to fight as well. As I've said in other broadcasts, we have brothers fighting in foreign wars to protect Christians, guarding borders, such as in Bulgaria, against the jihadists. So a Christian soldier fights with more than just spirituality. Satan rages war against us and attacks us with his demons more than just spiritually. Okay? More than just, minor little temptations and planting thoughts in people's heads, which, yes, Satan does have the power. God did give Satan the power, allowed Satan the power to do that. As long as you remember that Satan's power is, of course, restricted by God. I think that's what people don't understand. His power, he doesn't have absolute power as God does. God won't allow him to. And that's something that's funny, that Satan attacks us and says he's as good as God, but he doesn't have the absolute power that the Lord does. Why is that? Maybe you're not all powerful? But anyway, aside from that, they see spiritual warfare to prevent drug addiction and alcohol addiction and these things that can be changed easily with prayer and treatment. They don't talk about those who commit violence against each other, against any of the populace wide, those that target Christians. They don't talk about that as much, and how as Christian warriors we are called to defend against that too. That is Satan and his demons' purview. That is what they do. Besides the sexual immorality and the pedophilia and the LGBTQ community, which is founded by Satan. He's also behind serial killers. He's behind domestic violence. He's behind all that violence. He is, him and his demons. It is supernatural. The same people say, oh, that Christianity is a myth and demons and angels don't exist, but yet they believe in evolution, which is scientifically not proven. It's still theory. They have no proof of it. That we all descended from salt water and random bacteria That's loony if you ask me. But I've experienced the supernatural. Many people have. Some people have and don't recognize it. And when someone attacks you, your family, a church, your people, you are called by God to defend them. Scripture demands that we defend them, that we defend. I guess also I try to point that out. That's the difference between the Templars and the secular crusaders during the Crusades. The Templars are only there to defend Jerusalem and defend pilgrims. That was their mission: defend the churches, defend Christianity. We were and are a defense. We don't go on the offense unless it is in order to defend something. I know that doesn't make sense. Military people understand. Sometimes the best defense is an offense. If you see the enemy, you know they're going to attack, you attack them first. You're still defending your area, but it's a better way to defend if you can take the battle to them. So, but aside from that, something that churches won't talk about. They won't talk about that we're in the end days. Some say that we are. We need to prepare. How do you prepare? Well, you need to pray and make sure your life is right. Yeah. But when evil comes, how are we supposed to defend against it? Well, you pray. So when somebody breaks into my house and is going to drag me out in the street, shoot me in the back of the head for being a Christian, I'm supposed to pray about it and just let them do it. That's not what Christ said. You're supposed to stand up to it. And how do we do that? Well, that's we have firearms and other weapons. And we learn tactics, combat tactics. You should have a defense plan for your house, not just for the random burglar or home invasion. But as they say, when shit hits the fan and society and the government collapses, which it will. It says it right in Revelation. It will collapse. We don't know when, so it could be in our lifetime. It won't be to our children's lifetime or children's children. We don't know. However, we still need to be prepared. And again, most of our military-minded people, and many in the gun community, I'll say a two-way community, are well aware of this. You need to prepare and train for it. That's why the government wants to outlaw tactical training and firearms in the U.S. because then they can prevent that, and they know there won't be any resistance when they take over the country, when it collapses and communism ultimately wants to take over. It won't have resistance, because when they have resistance, they can't resist. If you look at the people pushing for communism and the people against it, who really has the power? It's not the communists. So that's something to keep in mind. So I will be having firearms. I'm not going to be doing a firearm review or ammunition review. That's not really what this channel is about. It's about Christian soldiers. It's about warfare. It's about tactics. I'll tell you and show you what I'm using and the ammunition I'm using, so you have reference, more informational, and then I'll go through shooting drills or tactical drills, things like that. Now, and this is because I know the feds and YouTube is watching, I'm not saying this is how we take over a government. This isn't revolution stuff that I'll be going over, that I'll be having on my channel. It's got nothing to do with that. This is defense against a foreign or domestic force. It's protecting your family and your people. That's what this is about. On a grander scale of war, if it happens, then all this is out the window anyway. So, as far as the channel, this is going to be out the window anyway. So, if you're looking to say, hey, I can learn this and then I can go shoot this up, or I can go attack this or take down the government, that's not the purpose. And if that's what you're here for, you can leave, because that's not the purpose. We're Christian warriors. Okay, so you know, you need to defend your church. You should have a. You need to defend your community. You need to defend your household, your family. So this is about defense. So when I call tactics, this is just basic shooting tactics, and um, and shooting drills. They're already done on other GunTube channels, and I know YouTube doesn't like it. Well, we'll see how it goes. I won't be able to do what I want to do right away, because right now my financial situation is, well, zero. I did buy some new weapons and ammo, but that was from a modest tax refund. And yes, all taxation is theft. However, so I don't have the resources to go to a range with a 2-gun or 3-gun setup. I have access to a flat range, and that's it. So until I do have my disability claims are approved and I have an income, and that's a long story I won't go into. But until those claims are done, I'm not going to be able to do that kind of training. I just don't have the resources or the area access to those ranges. However, I do have enough to do range days. Go there and do shooting practice and sighting in, and proper shooting technique and things like that. At least as I was taught and experience that I have. If you know a different way or something like that, after watching the video or any of these videos, feel free to comment. Please do. Again, I say be respectful. Respectful and rude comments will be deleted. I've already have to delete a couple. We're not here to argue or call each other names. That's not what this channel's about. If you want to do that, there's other channels you can do that on. I'm not going to touch that. So yeah, that is my future plans. I'm going to change the description once I have the next range video out. I'm waiting for ammunition. My local shop did not have the ammunition I wanted, so I had to order it online, and when it gets delivered, then I'll be able to go to the range and start doing these. And I think it's important. In fact, I think that what I want to show is important for everyone, at any place, at any time, to keep yourself safe. Mass shooter drills. Okay, so if you're shopping in a mall and you start hearing gunfire, pretty sure that's either gangs shooting each other or it's a mass shooter. You have two options. You can run and get your family safe, which is smart. I'm not saying put yourself and your family in danger unnecessarily. But if you are armed and you plan to intervene, make a plan on knowing what you're getting into. If it's two gangs shooting each other, just leave the mall, because you're not going to be able to take down. That's not worth it. That's something where you are going to be outnumbered, and that's something that I would avoid. Let law enforcement take care of. I mean, it's a mass shooting technically. I mean, that's what the liberals will call a mass shooting. That's how they get the numbers high. They count any shooting death over like 2 people or 3 people is considered a mass shooting. But when they talk about it, saying, oh, we need to stop these mass shootings, they're not talking about gang violence, even though they count the numbers. It's very sinister. Again, Satan and his demons are everywhere. They cannot be counted out. And count on them to be smart. Smart enough to eventually get themselves into trouble, yes. But that's later on down the road. Satan always falls into his own traps, however. So don't fall in the trap with him. But now, if it's there's a safe way to investigate what's going on. If you're with your family, get your family safe first. Then, if you want to, if law enforcement isn't there and you want to go back in, or if you're by yourself or someone else who's armed and you want to help evacuate people, and in case it is a mass shooter, engage him and take him down. There are smart ways to do it, and there's dumb ways to do it. And that's something you should prepare for, because obviously we have that going on more and more. Satan is ramping it up, I should say. And yes, it does say that in Revelation. It's going to get worse and worse and worse. And eventually, yes, Christians will be targeted, because we'll be the ones defending against Satan. And he knows that. And Christian soldiers, we're to stand up and stand in between Satan and our people. Between Satan and Christians. That is our job as Christian soldiers. Whether you're part of the Templars or not, if you're a Christian soldier, that is your job. That is what you do. Okay? If you are, let's say you're in a grocery store, and some grocery stores like the ones I go to in my area, they have a service counter where they sell, they may sell cigarettes, and you can get money orders, things like that. And we've seen, desperate drug users, and other addicts try to get whatever, $200 or $300 or maybe only $25, whoever they have on hand, they want to get that quick and get out. If you see that happening and you can safely intervene, there's smart ways to do it, and there's dumb ways to do it. Getting mugged. If you're going to get mugged, it can be prevented. You should see it ahead of time by situational awareness. Once you identify it, you can avoid it from happening altogether, or at least prepare yourself to defend yourself against it. How to walk around without being a target. How to make yourself an unappealing target without being overly, how should I say this? You want to appear as someone who is strong and not worth attacking, yet you don't want to look like a total a-hole either. I mean, you don't want to go overboard. But things like that, I think, are important. And again, as Christian soldiers, Christian warriors, it's good training. And that's the kind of training I'm talking about. Having a defense plan for your house. Some churches do have some of their members armed as security, which is smart. If you are going to do that, be part of that. Make sure you have a good defense plan. It may not be one person coming in because they're out of their mind. There may be a group of people. Look at Antifa. Oh, it's just an idea. Well, so was ISIS, and look what happened. They were just an idea. So is jihadism. It's just an idea. But look at terrorists around the world. So that's a poor excuse. So they may come in groups like that. Also, keeping yourself safe as far as these mostly peaceful protests. Those are going to happen. And they're going to happen, especially closer to Election Day, especially after Trump gets elected. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but it's very likely. How are you going to respond if you are caught and cannot escape on a mostly peaceful protest? How are you going to handle that? Those are the kind of things I want to cover. Also, in the future, I do plan on competing in two-gun tactical matches where we wear full kit and we go at it. Brutality matches. That only is a good training. It's a good way to test your skills. Am I training the right way? Especially brutality matches. They are mentally and physically stressful. And that's the whole point. Can you respond in a very stressful situation? Because flat range is one thing. but you can be as accurate as you want on the flat range. But again, it's good. Good training, practicing your draw, things like that. However, when you're in an actual situation and people are trying to kill you, that's a little different. In that case, you need to be able to respond while feeling a lot of stress. Because someone trying to kill you or being in a stressful situation and having to respond because you don't have an escape, that's different. That is different than just saying, "Oh yeah, I can take care of myself." Yeah, have you been in that situation where you've had to do that? Have you felt the pressure? Again, that's why I like brutality matches, because they copy that pressure. They put the pressure on as much as they can through through physical challenges along with marksmanship challenges, and then of course you have the timer, and all this coming together does put a lot of pressure on you. That's why I want to do those matches. I can't wait to do that. Going back to like my experience working under pressure, well, being an armored security guard, I don't know, millions of dollars in that truck, and sometimes only $10. You may know, but the thug does it. He just thinks it's a truck full of millions of dollars, or you're carrying in tons of money, so he wants it. So we had to go through a lot of defensive tactics and how to deal with that. In and out of the truck. That was big. Armed security at courthouse. Fortunately, we didn't have any big dust-ups, but we did have quite a few people I had to split up and escort out. There's people violating contact orders. I had to deal with it. I mean, because I was backed up by deputies, but that was part of my job, is protect the people in the courthouse, protect the courthouse. Working 2.5 years in state corrections, working in maximum and super maximum security prisons. Talk about stress, because in the maximum security, we had anywhere of 280 some prisoners out at one time with 4 to 5 officers on the floor. How do you handle that? True, your response team may be, minutes away, but things can happen in a matter of seconds. So how do you deal with that? How do you deal with certain things? Or, I've been under a lot of stress. I had to deal with fights and preventing fights and learning verbal judo to keep something from happening. And the fact that we're dealing with people that obviously many of them, I should say, don't care what happens to them. They have no reason to stop. You have to give them a reason to stop doing what they're doing. And sometimes it's verbal, sometimes it's not. I had to be able to respond to that. So, and also I worked as a paramedic for 5 years. It's not stressful when you have a patient that's circling the drain and you have to keep them alive at least until you get to the hospital. And don't think we don't take it personal. We did. That's why I only lasted 5 years. I burned out. I took a lot of it personal. It was my job to keep this person alive, and they died. Whether or not my efforts could have been better or could have saved them is immaterial. To me, it was. It was not my fault that they died. However, I took it personally because I felt it was my job to keep them from dying. Yeah, I'm that guy. So, yeah, I have been under a lot of stressful situations in civilian life. And I have had run-ins with people that were planning to rob me, some that were armed, and I was able to keep myself safe in all that situation by using verbal judo. A lot of ways that does apply to Christian soldiers. We are to use, and out of love, we don't want to hurt people. We don't want to exhibit force upon someone else. we want to try anything we can to prevent that from happening. And once we do, we know when to stop. Realize that these people are, we're defending ourselves against, defending others against, true are making bad decisions, and they had to make the decision. However, with alcohol, drugs, and Satan putting thoughts and temptations into their head, with the drugs and alcohol, they can no longer resist them. They have mental health issues. I have mental health issues. I can see where if you are not treating those issues, then you need to, you won't be able to resist those thoughts and temptations that Satan puts in your head. Some of these are being pushed by society. You know, we pick on the LGBTQ community. And if anybody in here is part of that, watching this is part of that community, we don't, as Christians, we don't hate anyone. We don't agree with the lifestyle. We don't agree that should be pushed on children, because children aren't in a place where they can decide and understand these things. And plus, yeah, we do feel it's from Satan. That's what Scripture says. That doesn't mean we're going to treat that community any different. As far as, we'll still treat them as people, as a person. That doesn't mean we have to accept what you're doing is correct, or that we're okay with it. We're not okay with it, so don't expect us to be. Don't push it in our face and we won't respond. I don't respond. I mean, I have many friends that are part of that community. I never treated them any different. One of them became one of my better friends. I loved working with her. It's unfortunate that I lost that job due to some health issues, but yeah, I really enjoyed working with her. Remember, Satan is insidious, so he's going to try to get you to accept their lifestyle, because otherwise you're a bad person. That's what society is pushing. That's not true. When we treat them out of love, God's love is not unconditional. Let's put it that way. And I will have something on that later, on a different episode. I'm still going to work so much at a time. Plus, I have my own family life here, which is not easy right now. So, but Jesus said a physician doesn't see healthy patients. You can associate with that community, people of that community, I should say, without taking part in their lifestyle, accepting their lifestyle. You don't have to go to pride parades. But you can treat them as a person, as a colleague. Again, that's all up to you, though. It's your personal preference. If you can't, then don't. I don't look for fights, though. I know a lot of people look for fights and confrontations so they can go, "You're doing bad. You're doing evil. Look at me." That's the same thing as virtue signaling. That's ridiculous. You don't have to do that. If you don't want to deal with someone, then walk away and say, "Hey, sorry, I just can't associate with you. It's my personal beliefs. I'm sorry," and then walk away. They may be upset, but as Christ said, they hated him before they hated us. You don't have to be rude about it. Let's put it that way. Now, as far as these pronouns and things, and I don't use them. You know, I mean, I don't go out of my way to use them. I don't. And if somebody complains about it, I'm like, "Well, sorry, I don't do that. You're talking to the wrong person. If you don't like it, then don't speak to me. That's fine. You know, I'm not forcing you to talk to me. So you don't force me to accept you." Okay, so anyway, that was a tangent. So anyway, so that's the future of my channel. Defense tactics. That's good. That's a good example for it. And if anybody tells you, well, Revelation isn't happening, or just take it slow and don't worry about arming yourself. Well, those are the people that are going to fall victim. Don't be a victim. You don't have to be a victim. You don't have to be a forceful pain in the ass, but you don't have to be a victim either. Does that make sense? Okay. Well, that's it for here. I know this is a long one, but I had a lot to explain and a lot I wanted to talk about. Again, I don't have a lot of resources, so my rainy day is going to be filmed on my phone. So we'll see how this works. Again, this is kind of experimental for me, kind of working with this. Eventually, I will. Again, I'd like to expand when I have money. Until then, this is how it's going to be. All right, stay prepared. Keep the faith, and Deuce Vault.